Okay. Good morning to everyone. Today we're going to present the feasibility report for the Twitter analysis tools for Group 40 project management. So for our group, we have to build a Twitter analysis tool which will be able to basically analyze tweets from a number of people and then be able to analyze the sentiment. Basically, what we want to do is to find whether or not tweets are positive or negative regarding a particular topic. So we can see here that just a brief description of what Twitter is. Twitter is an analysis, it's a microblogging social media, and it enables messengers and the users to send each other messages known as tweets. You can also post your messages online and have other people view them who are following you. They can like them and they can retweet them as well. We see that Twitter is a service provided by the Twitter Inc. in San Francisco, a California-based company with more than 25 offices worldwide. Okay, then what's important for us is the popularity of Twitter. It has grown to over 100 million users and it processes 340 million tweets every day. And due to this popularity, there is a rapidly growing user base, and it has become critical for users to be able to analyze the information from this user base for commercial interest. Now, Twitter Analytics is an analysis tool that is made by Twitter themselves for all of their users to be able to use. When you log into Twitter, you open the analytics dashboard, you'll be able to see all the information pertaining to your account and all of your followers as well. And it is the basis of this Twitter analytics that we are going to model our own analysis tool on. Can you scroll down? Yeah, to the next page. So what is the purpose of the feasibility report? This feasibility report will examine all the relative factors for the project, including the economic, technical, and the legal aspects of the project. We are basically trying to outline how possible it will be to create this type of system, and we will identify the weaknesses and the strengths objectively and logically. And it is critical for the pre-planning process of this system. We should be able to know beforehand all the things that will be required before we start the project. And this is what we're going to present today, as well as the roadmap. So the project description. What we want to do is to develop a Twitter sentiment analysis tool. And sentiment is the important word there because we want to be able to tell positive or negative based on the tweets that we are reading from our user base. We will be extracting the Twitter data from Twitter itself because they give this data out for free. What we have to do is just connect to their API and we'll be able to receive all of this information and then analyze it in our own tool. The example that we'll be giving, we will use a basic topic like artificial intelligence and machine learning. Well, it's not a basic topic, but it's a topic in line with our course. So once we have this topic, we will make searches for it with Twitter data and see how many tweets that people are giving off maybe within a set period of time and be able to analyze what their feelings towards this topic is, whether it's good or it's bad. What we want is the positive and the negative from the tweets. Yes, can you scroll down now? So this is our roadmap. We start with the Twitter data. We get the Twitter data from Twitter's API, and then we use Kinesis data stream. And then from here, we will have Spark streaming and also a Kinesis Firehose. That is where the raw data will enter into the bucket. And we will use the Spark streaming for scoring the information. We'll use Athena for query searching, and then QuickSight will be our dashboard, which will give us the real-time updates of all the information that we are processing, and we'll be able to view it. And if we have other users that are using our system, they will also be able to use it during the QuickSight dashboard. Next page. Yes, so the packages that we're going to need. First of all, is going to be Python. These are the prerequisites. We'll need Tweepy to create a stream and listen to the live tweets. We'll use Spark streaming for the data processing engine. And then we'll use cloud platforms like AWS service, which is the Amazon service, and QuickSight for all our cloud platform, and S3 as well. We'll use Kinesis Data Stream, which will be our real-time streaming service that collects and processes enormous streams of data records. Kinesis Firehorse, a service for delivering real-time streaming data to Amazon S3 and Redshift. These are the processing engines and the cloud platforms that we'll be using. We'll use EMR, a service that makes use of the Amazon EC3 computing instance, and we will use it to execute Spark in a distributed manner for the data processing. And then Athena, which is a serverless interactive query service that uses normal SQL to query and analyze huge data in Amazon S3. We'll use Athena to get the tweets that have been analyzed and saved in S3. Next page. Yes, so now the justification for this system. Justification is basically our understanding of why it is important to do this. And we've already listed this. Twitter has a very, very massive user base, and a lot of tweets are tweeted every day. So it is very essential for us to process this data because it's very raw. Now we ask, why is this necessary? This is necessary mostly for brands and for individuals that want to market themselves. They will be able to use a Twitter analysis tool to be able to understand their consumer base, to see what their customers like and what they don't like, to be able to understand the trends in the market and the ones which are fading out. We'll be able to use this tool to be able to market ourselves very well and target our specific audience by their interest. And then we'll use different reasons. We'll use different reasons to be able to market ourselves. And then we know that we have visits to profiles, the profile visits, to see who is visiting our profile and how many of them are visiting our profile. And we will be able to have the impression counts for the tweets as well. Next page. As well as our engagement and our engagement rate to see how many people are really engaging with us. Then analysis of content is very important for us as well, because we will use this, page 6. We will use the analysis of content to be able, up. Okay, yes, we'll be able to use this information to see what our customers like. And then the tracking conversions just makes us be able to see when we have ads on Twitter, how much of that is actually translating to real money. Okay, next page. And then this is just statistics from statista.com, which shows just how much money is made from ad revenue. And it was estimated that the advertising revenue from 2001 to 2021 was $209 billion US. So you can see that there's a lot of reason to be able to understand the user base and be able to track the conversions that is fade from ads to money. Next page. And then the desired functionality. So how do we want this tool to operate? We basically want it to take Twitter data from the API, process the data, and then be able to justify whether the data is positive or negative for our users. That way they will be able to tell just what kind of information is desired by consumers and what kind of information is past the trend. Next page. And then this is just a description of how the intricate details of the system will work. We will use Kinesis data stream to ingest and gather data daily to conduct real-time analytics and robust event-driven applications. Down. We will use Spark and Yarn to be able to, yes, thank you. We'll be able to use this information to, so give me a second. Yes, this is going to help us with our processing as well. And it will be able to connect to different nodes to be able to use the data together. And then LDA is going to be used for machine learning. We're interested in determining the underlying subject of the tweets. So we want to know what is being said by this. This will be analyzing keywords in particular to be able to really tell and explain what people are trying to say. Next page. Yes, we'll use Athena for data processing and QuickSight for the visualization. This is going to be the dashboard that we have in the end after all the information has been processed, and we finally have a dashboard where we can view all of the analysis and be able to make effective decisions. And then data drift and model retrain. In the actual world, data drift and model performance will occur. So it is necessary for us to be able to update our model over time. And that is going to be the use of data drift and model retrain. Next page. And so that is the end of chapter 1. And that is how the system functions and how we desire for it to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Basically, I would be talking about the existing systems and technologies that we have so far in the world right now. One, we have the Twitter analytics, which is Twitter's very own in-house analytic tool. First of all, it starts with a 28-day overview of your tweets, your impressions, your profile views, your followers, and so on. Then it also has some sub-segments dedicated to the exact portion of analysis, whereby you have your tweets in particular that determine which ones that perform the best, which of your tweets that perform outright on your analysis tool. And also we have the audience tab. This displays who is following who, the consumer's behavior and the lifestyle data. Also in the sub-segment parts, it talks about monitoring your growth. That means keeps tracks of your number of followers, probably each month, how well your followers are evolving and the rest. And also in case of the Twitter analytics, it is written in C++, Java, Scala, and Ruby, which it is an open source and enables most users to have the opportunity to create other analytic tools. And therefore, also we have Hootsuite. Hootsuite is also another example of a Twitter analytic tool. It is something called a freemium service, whereby you can have fewer than 5 social profiles to monitor. Which, how can I put it? You have fewer than 5 social profiles to monitor. It enables teams to collaborate on campaigns across several social media platforms through the use of a single secure web-based dashboard. It was created in 2008 by Ryan Holmes as a social media management program rather. Also, the tools, the front end system, or the front end coding is written in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, while the back end coding is written in PHP. Also, this is also an open source. Is also open source to the users, to most users everywhere. Last one I'll talk about is Buffer, which is primarily known as a scheduling tool for tweets and media updates. Basically, I believe it is useful in monitoring your tweeting activities, and therefore also taking into consideration, there are some summaries that in particular to what we're supposed to submit by, even if we don't submit before one, at least we should just say something on it. But there's, in particular to this project, there are some summaries we are going to have to take into consideration, whereby the number of the Twitter users, the tweet volume, the trends and the peak, the Twitter conventional peaks and trends, the tweet content, the computer processing speeds, the coding language, which he said basically we're going to be using Python, so CSS, and also the cost of machinery to process some basic informations. Then the analysis, I think someone can take over the analysis.
Hello, everyone. I'm supposed to talk about the analysis. I'd like to define what analysis means so we all understand what we're talking about. The study of people's interaction and communication on various issues is known as social network analysis. A lot of social media sites, probably Facebook and Twitter, since that's what we're talking about, have millions of users. They share their opinions on daily basis, probably seconds, millions of tweets per day. So tweets are, it's really important to determine which tweet is negative, positive, or just neutral tweets. There are different types of analysis will be carried out on this project we are working on. So this feasibility report is to give the types of analysis, and the first will probably be market analysis. Twitter analytic tools, they give insights on marketing efforts and different things. The tools are set, and the tools help brand your social media, your whatever social media you're on. The tweet helps your market analysis, helps build your brand. The market analysis tools is vast, but is limited to the specific points of interest for businesses. So in order to analyze your paradigm, we will take into consideration the following aspects. One, the industry overview. Millions of Twitter users means that the market is not short of individual targets, exactly, due to the large number of users, probably 500 million, or I don't know how many users Twitter use, probably, or more. It allows a wider scope of people to target and target specifically. We move to the target market. We'll be targeting individuals and corporations. We'll create two categories, one to cater for the individual, and then another to cater for the corporation. Three, we move to the competition. As we have described, there are several companies that perform Twitter analysis, such as Buffer, like my colleague just mentioned, Hootsuite, and Twitter themselves, they also carry out Twitter analysis. The fourth consideration in this aspect is the pricing and forecasts. Considering that most of Twitter analysis tools are free and readily available in a convenient fashion, we'll make the individual package free, and then the package for corporate bodies operational under a subscription of $30 a month, which will be billed annually. Then we move to the second type of analysis that will be carried out on this, which is the technical analysis. The system will require very minimal hardware components. Since all processing required will be performed like by Twitter, just like I mentioned, which is free. The programming aspect of the system will perform primarily in Python. That's the programming language that will be used. Its underlying coding may be performed in C or C++, C++ or Node. Yeah. Connecting the Tweepy library will offer further functionality with the following libraries: Python, Ruby, Node, PHP, which is hypertext preprocessor, Twitter API, PHP. The program prerequisites. I'll list a couple of program prerequisites that will be used here, and Python packages, data processing engines, cloud performance, AWS, that's the Amazon Web Service, which include QuickSight and S3, Kinesis data streams, Kinesis Firehouse, like my colleague mentioned earlier, EMR, which is to manage cluster platforms, yeah, something like that. And then Athena. And then we move to the last type of analysis that we perform, that's the financial analysis. Generally, the cost factor towards creating such system will be expensive. But considering a good proportion of Twitter analysis is program-oriented, we will simply need to create a product and spend on processing computers, buying the raw data, and marketing the project with ads, since we've seen how much has been generated from ad revenues. Yeah. So one, the code, considering the open source like Java, Python, and Ruby, we do not need to spend on code. Two, raw data, buying data from companies like Clarabridge, Lexalytics, average of $100 per month, which is quite a lot, but it's for corporations. So the third one is the marketing. Google Ads costs about $1 a click, which may cost $20 to publish an ad for a period of 30 days to raise awareness. And the last one will be supercomputer for data processing. It's not compulsory, but it's optional. Aside from the $6 and $7, 6 to 7 million in annual energy costs, you can expect to pay anywhere from 100 million to 250 million for design and assembly, not to mention the maintenance cost. And then we move to the comparison of solutions or alternatives.
I think you're on mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now hear you.
Oh, I said, can you unmute?
Can I what?
Oh, like, no, never mind. Hello, I'll be talking about the comparison of the solution of alternatives. And there's no other way to, to go on about this. To the Twitter analyst to say the Twitter analyst is a very raw and can sorry, the Twitter analysis is a very raw and can't be alternatively be done manually. Due to this, in the context of Twitter analysis, there are varieties of analytical tools like presently available in the world, as we know. But the best one to use for us, since our aim is keywords, is Twitter Tonomy. Twitter, what? Sorry, Tweet Tonomy. Tweetonomy is an article tool that helps in analyzing um or monitoring your Twitter account or whatever Twitter account you also want to monitor. It's provides you with daily tweets, how many links you shared, how often you're mentioned in any tweet, how often you've been hashtagged, or how many tweets you viewed, or your favorite tweets, and it does much more than that. It is actually a web-based tool that offers both free and premium accounts. But all you need to do is having a Twitter account and connecting it to your Twittonomy analytical tool, and it does all this for you, monitoring whatever you need to monitor, whatever user you need to monitor, your competition, however you want it. That's basically what the Twittonomy does for you. I think I'm done.
Okay. I think we have finished describing how the system works and all of the necessary software and programs we're going to need, all of the money that will be required, and all of the market we're going to try and reach, and our user base as well. Yes, this final chapter was supposed to be done by our fifth member, who could not be available today because of some issues. He says he's admitted in the hospital right now and he could not be able to make it here. So I will round it up for him on his behalf. Yes, so now that we've defined everything about the system, we need to talk about the adverse potential constraints that could be side issues with generating the system. And so we already know that Twitter is a very popular social media, very popular among celebrities and influential people as well. And so there are going to be a lot of issues that are relevant to this kind of system. But the ones that are going to be most relevant are ethical issues, health and safety issues, social and political issues, as well as legal, the legal consequences. We don't really have much environmental issues because it's not necessarily a very polluting system. This is just an online system. However, because we are receiving data from Twitter servers, those may emit some carbon emissions, but we are sure that Twitter has all of the necessary things put in place to minimize this. So we'll move on to ethics issues because we don't have much sustainability issues. The issues with any social media, as you would expect, is going to be the mental issues. And this is in particularly related to the mental manipulation of users by these marketeers. Of course, we are creating a system to help brands and companies make more money by understanding the tweets, but of course we know that this also has some side effects. And normally these companies, they will bombard you with ads after ads after ads. And even though our system is going to help them do that, we must take into consideration that there are going to be some side effects of this kind of marketing. So we must be able to reduce this by putting limitations on how much ads you can put. Well, even though that's not necessarily in our power, but we will just raise awareness for it. The next page. And then obviously we know that this data is of public record because it's an open source application, and people's data is visibly out there, and we are going to be collecting this data. So we must understand that this is users' personal data, their personal opinions, and even though we require this for our system, we must also take into consideration that there are going to be some consequences of using this data. These practices may not violate Twitter's terms and conditions, but we argue that they should be interpreted through the lens of social science through research methods which imply a more reflexive ethical approach, which is what we will try to do. It's not always what is legal that is best. We'll try and do what is best as well. Health and safety issues. Again, we've talked about health issues, and more in particular, mental and emotional health, because there's not much physical health that is being affected, but the mental and emotional health of the users that use social media are going to be tested, let's say. And so we're going to look at the negative effects of social media. We know a lot of times people on social media may feel inadequate about their life and appearance because of how other people portray their lives. Scroll down. And we have the fear of missing out. This is a form of anxiety which people feel when they feel as though everything is happening in their lives and they are not necessarily making any progress. So they may feel that they're being hindered in some way, or they're being oppressed in some way because of what people are doing in social media and they are not able to do it. So this is a form of anxiety. It will give them anxiety. We also have seen from numerous records the depression that people feel when they see when they're on social media. This may be because of seeing other people's lives or by the high amount of dopamine that is experienced when using social media. And then cyberbullying. 10% of all children report being bullied on social media, which is a very distressing statistic. And then the social and political issues. We know that social media has a lot of politics involved, a lot of social issues involved as well, where people find themselves in situations in which they have to interact with other people, and we need to take this into consideration. Scroll down. And in terms of politics, we know that a lot of people share their political opinions. It says 90% of these tweets were created by active users. So a lot of people shared their political opinions, especially in the US, from this case study that we brought up here. Next page. Americans 65 and older, sorry, go up. Americans 65 and older generate 1/3 of public tweets from the US that mention national politics. So as you can see, a lot of the tweets that are sent out are about national politics. And so we must be able to extract political data and be very careful with it because of the implications of manipulating political data for users' interest. There was one study which showed that people were banned from using Twitter for politics, and so we must take that into consideration as well. Next page. And then the legal consequences. We must make sure that all of the tweets we're using are upright with the legal system. We must be able to make very clear that some of these are paid endorsements in our ads, and we must not defame anybody's character or their integrity, and we must not infringe anybody's intellectual property, which is like plagiarism, for example. Scroll down. And then finally, our conclusion. So this system is going to basically be a sentiment analysis tool. It will take raw data from Twitter's API, analyze it, and then be able to give a sentiment of whether the Twitter data is positive or negative. It will do this by analyzing keywords that are generated from our processing and be able to say, okay, are these words positive or are they negative? We are talking about a particular topic. Are people negative about it? Are they positive about it? And it will do that by analyzing the sentiment of the words, whether the words are positive or negative. And then lastly, we have our references, which is all of the places where we got the information from. They've all been presented here for plagiarism purposes. And that is the end of our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. So I'm to press stop share, right?
Yeah, and then end record.
Stop recording.